Hey, you know what it's time for? Some college football chatter. Let's dive in. It is number 8 in our countdown on our way to number 1.
It's a pretty awesome fight song.
The Trojan
You have to
Army.
admit that it's a pretty awesome fight song. Yeah, like in fact, it'll start. It's got a great intro and everything. The lead up is just fantastic.
All right, USC, are they too low at 8? It might be higher. We had Pete Futak earlier in the week, and he's picking them to play in the college football playoff at the end of the year and be the winners of the Pac-12 conference. They've got to be better on defense, but they do have Caleb Williams, who's the best quarterback in the country, and some are saying the best prospect for the NFL in a generation.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Gets Patrick Mahomes comparisons for his ad-lib ability, his arm strength, his athleticism. The Longhorns ran into Caleb Williams when he was a freshman when Texas was beating the heck out of Oklahoma.
They were up by it was the greatest comeback, or it was the worst collapse, not greatest comeback, worst collapse in Texas football history. It was the greatest comeback for Oklahoma. I think it's the second greatest comeback for Oklahoma, actually.
Yes, it was.
It's their second greatest. Yeah.
You know, there was a fourth down play when Caleb Williams, a true freshman, came on the field, and the Longhorns were going to blow Oklahoma off the field if they stop him on fourth down.
Yep, and he runs a 63
like
yards?
A QB sneak.
Yeah, it was like a 4th and 1.
And the Longhorns brought the blitz.
4th and 1. Yeah,
and they brought and who was it? There was a safety that missed the tackle in the hole.
Might have been Jaron
Thompson.
I think it might have been Jaron Thompson.
Jaron Thompson.
It was a young Jaron Thompson.
He juked him in the hole, and he was the safety, and so there was
a
nobody behind
last line
him.
of defense, and when he juked him, he was gone.
I remember,
and that changed everything.
I was in the press box, and if they stop him here, it's over. Because we sit next to a bunch of Oklahoma guys, and it's like, they got him. I mean, he was stuffed.
I want to say they were on like the Texas 30-something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're on 30-something.
Texas was already up big.
They're on 30-something, and Texas could have got the ball back and basically would have at least got a field goal, probably a touchdown.
Yeah. That was the overtime loss, right?
Yes.
Oh.
And Case again, and obviously Caleb Williams was unbelievable from that point on. Spencer Rattler never played again.
Not at Oklahoma.
Yeah. Because Texas had gotten the lead because they had rattled Spencer Rattler.
PK's game plan was too good.
Too good.
If his game plan wasn't as good for Spencer Rattler would have stayed in the game. They'd have beat Oklahoma. His game plan was so damn effective, it made Spencer Rattler look discombobulated and lost. And then that's when Lincoln Riley decided, man, we got to bench you. And then you put in Caleb Williams, who basically PK couldn't come up with a game plan for. There wasn't enough sample size of film for you to break down a game plan. So it was a brilliant strategy by Lincoln Riley that won him that game.
Well, and remember, a lot of 50-50 balls he just threw up. Marvin Mims and those guys made great catches. And, that was a heartbreaking loss for Texas in year 1 for Steve Sarkisian.
That was the worst loss in Steve Sarkisian's career. It had to be.
Yeah, they had that game. And, and Caleb Williams became – and now, when that was happening at the Cotton Bowl, you were like, well, who's this guy? Now you know, okay, he's Caleb Williams. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's going to try to become the first back-to-back winner since Archie Manning.
And Rod Sark did lose to Kansas.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So,
no, did he?
Yeah, for year 1.
He did.
We tend to forget about that.
No, I agree, but I still say the Oklahoma one was worse, just the way it went down.
I get that.
The Kansas loss was bad, but you lost to Kansas already before. Ain't like a program you ain't lost to Kansas before, unfortunately. So it wasn't something that shocked us. We were like, I lost to Kansas before because Charlie lost to Kansas. So I think that Oklahoma loss was worse because of the way it happened. Though you were up 4 touchdowns.
And they went to a freshman backup quarterback, and he torched you.
To your rival. It's your rival. It's your rival.
Well, can I tell you about USC at number 8 right now?
Sorry to relive that, guys.
This is only the second time in Lincoln Riley's 7 seasons as a head coach, Oklahoma now USC, where he has had his quarterback back for a second year.
Oh, say that again?
It's only the second time in 7 seasons as head coach that Lincoln Riley will return his starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield was the other one, but only the 7th time.
Didn't he return Spencer Rattler?
No. Remember, that was the year after Jalen Hurts.
Okay. I thought Spencer Rattler started a year for him.
No, it was Jalen Hurts came in And then Spencer came in. This is what it says. It says it's only.
I think Spencer Rattler.
He played. Spencer Rattler played the year before. I think.
Yeah, he started
counting him as getting benched as he wasn't a returning starter.
Okay, I would say you can get it because Spencer Rattler actually played.
He was a projected #1 pick.
Yeah, so I'm saying exactly. So Spencer Rattler played under Lincoln Riley for a long time because he was projected to be #1 pick. So I don't know. It depends on how
I got to look at the depth chart how it played out. But Baker Mayfield came back. He was there a couple years for.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler had 11 games he started in 2020.
Okay, a COVID year.
Yeah.
How soon we forget. Soon we forget.
Yeah.
But yes, the Caleb Williams, the focal point of the offense, and the argument on defense, Rod, is the defensive transfers, including the Georgia defensive lineman Bear Alexander.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's at USC.
That was a big NIL move there, too. I remember this.
Oklahoma State linebacker Mason Cobb has come in. They got a bunch, on that front seven, they've got a bunch of transfers because they know they got to play better defense, especially against a team like Utah if they're going to run the table in the Pac-12.
Yeah, you're talking about basically what has been proven to be the Achilles heel of this particular Lincoln Riley coach team is the defense, and really it's tackling on defense. As you pointed out, they actually are really opportunistic. They actually are one of the leaders in takeaways in the country defensively, but when teams decide to just run the football, play bully ball, run downhill on USC, they couldn't stop them. They literally couldn't tackle their opponents. Remember the tight ends from Utah and how silly they made USC
look
Dalton
tackling? Kincaid, too, and Dalton Kincaid was the first-round pick of the Bills.
That's true. Very true.
Good player, but you're right. Their defense, go to the Tulane game.
Tulane's another example. Exactly. Exactly. It's another example of it.
Trojans were plus 22 in the turnover margin.
They were really good.
Plus 22.
And with an offense like that.
They forced 29 turnovers last year. Yet when they actually had to stop somebody and play defense, they were 8th worst in the FBS in yards allowed per play, 94th in scoring defense for Alex Grinch.
That is, yes, that to me is their biggest issue, is the fact that they just give up way too many chunk yardage plays, and it's based off just bad fundamental tackling, in my opinion. They clean up their tackling, and they continue to be an opportunistic defense. Honestly, it's not going to be a lot to keep USC from competing for the college football playoff. If he solves that issue. They really don't have a lot of flaws other than the most obvious one, the Shakespearean one, which is tackling on defense specifically.
Epidemic.
Yeah, the most rudimentary part of defense, but they're not good at it.
As far as the schedule, to win a national championship or play for one, you got to have a schedule that's favorable. They start with San Jose State. They're going to play Saturday. Our number 8 team in our countdown will play this weekend. They're going to play San Jose State. Then they'll play Nevada. Then they'll play Stanford September 9, and then they're open. So 3 games, they should win all 3. And then the open day ahead of a trip to Arizona State, a trip to Colorado to play Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes. They've got Arizona at home. They go to Notre Dame October 14th, Rod, under the Golden Dome. That'll be a heck of a ball game.
That'll be a tough one.
Big-time national marquee game. Utah, who beat them up twice last year, they're coming to L.A. on the 21st. They go to Cal. They host Washington, which obviously becomes a huge game. They go to Oregon.
That's another tough one.
November 11. They host UCLA, and then they're open the final weekend of the regular season.
So they got 4 games, in my opinion, are basically going to determine the season. At Notre Dame. The Utah is interesting because it depends on the Cameron Rising situation. We don't know what Cameron Rising situation. By then, he should be with the team.
Should be back October 21.
Exactly. He should be back with the team by then. But by then, we don't know what Utah's season looks like because they got a tough start to the season. That may be without a Cameron Rising. But then that Washington game, and then that Washington game, that UCLA game, and that Oregon game. Those 4 are pretty much it. I guess you can throw Utah in there if Cameron Rising is going to be back. I mean, that's pretty much the season. I don't see them really having many other threats or impediments to them reaching the Pac-12 championship, but those 5 games will tell you everything you need to know. That's it. And that's later on in the season, too. That's not even right. That starts late in the season for them.
Well, in an effort to improve the tackling and the defense, they went after their front 7. They brought in Kion Bars from Arizona. Mm-hmm. They got a guy named Jack Sullivan from Purdue and Bear Alexander, the Georgia transfer. They also brought in Anthony Lucas from Texas A&M. Guy named Jamil Muhammad from Georgia State. They're loading up through the portal, and we know USC, like Texas, is very wealthy when it comes to that, the ability to do it. And it's USC and Lincoln Riley. You have one job in the offseason. Can you fix your run defense? If you can, and your team is still forcing turnovers, if you can combine a solid run defense, Rod, with a team that forces turnovers
with that offense,
yeah. You'll be hard to beat.
There'll be a college football playoff contender if that is the case. And Lincoln Riley, I mean, other Longhorn fans are happy. They don't have to face Lincoln Riley anymore. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest starts to a head coaching career ever.
Yeah.
Like in the history of college football. That's what we're witnessing right now. And that's been with what we have been able to track throughout the years has been, kind of a character, a coaching character flaw, which is his defenses struggle early on. And then he has to fix the defense. He brings in a system that is quarterback friendly, and he may be the best quarterback whisperer, quarterback nurturer in all of college football, and throw into that also top 5 play caller, play designer in the game too. But everywhere that he's been, it seems like the defenses have deteriorated or they've struggled. So he's got to find a way to fix that. Did it at Oklahoma, at least to a certain extent, not to make them a college football playoff contender. So he didn't do it enough. Hopefully he's learned some lessons and now he can apply those at USC.
Yeah, agreed. All right, they are certainly a contender, and we have them at 8. That might be a little bit too low for where they can be if all those transfers do, bring the defense back to where it can be. Again, he doesn't have to be great. Doesn't have to be great, Rod, because if you're going to get Patrick Mahomes comparisons, Patrick Mahomes doesn't need a great defense. He's got to have a good defense.
Yep, just
got to have a good defense.
Just don't be weakness.
You can't be 94th.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't be a liability, and you should be fine.
Yeah, you can't be last 8 in yards per play. You can't be that.
Last year, you lost games because your defense was just poor.
Oh, man.
Porous. It really was. They couldn't tackle, which, hey, we've had the tackling epidemic on the Fort Acres before.
And I've seen some, for sure. And, there are those, Alex Grinch has said, look, we gave up a lot because we didn't have a lot of good players on defense. We had a lot of good players on offense, and that's why we were able to force the turnovers we did, because we were very aggressive. We knew we had to make up for the lack of talent by trying to force the issue. We couldn't line up and stop good teams. We had to try to take the ball from them, and that leaves you exposed. I mean, that gives
you got to take risks to take the ball away. You take risks.
This year, they feel like they can be more fundamentally sound, play good defense, and let Caleb Williams. What are the odds for Caleb Williams to go back-to-back? Hasn't happened as a Heisman Trophy winner since Archie Griffin in the early 70s.
He's the only one, right?
Yes, only time it's ever happened.
Yeah, the odds, honestly, right now, the competition for, and there's going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere, always is, somebody that we just don't anticipate being a Heisman finalist. But you got Drake May, who's in that conversation right now, along with Caleb Williams. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we don't have early season. There's not a lot of Heisman hype.
Caleb Williams is right now plus 500.
Yep.
Which would be back-to-back. Jaden Daniels,
quarterback from LSU.
Plus 900. Quinn Ewers.
I throw Quinn in there.
Quinn Ewers is plus 1,000. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis is plus 1,200. Bo Nix is plus 1,200. Drake May, Sam Hartman, Michael Penix, Cade Klubnik.
Yeah. All quarterbacks. It's all quarterback list? Yeah.
I'll ask the Horn audience here on Ian Rod B. Since he left Oklahoma, spurned the Sooners.
Mm-hmm.
Do Texas fans like Lincoln Riley?
No, they don't like him.
They don't like him?
No. They don't like him because he doesn't know how to cook brisket.
He does not know how to cook brisket.
That's why they don't like him.
And he's from Muleshoe, Texas. What proud West Texan doesn't know how to cook a brisket?
He doesn't. Didn't his parents go to Texas too?
Yeah.
He had family that went to UT.
I mean, do you feel a little bit better about him because he screwed the Sooners?
I guess so. But I'm just glad we don't have to face him anymore. Honestly,
yeah, no, that's true.
I got so much respect for him, and he's, like I said, one of the greatest starts to a coaching career in college football history. I'm just glad Texas ain't got to face him.
Let me ask you this: as a defensive and a football theorist that you are, and a devout studier of the game, what is it that Lincoln Riley does that makes it so difficult to stop? Offensively, he's got great players. Typically,
he's got great players.
But the scheme, it's unbelievable the way he schemes guys, not just open but wide open.
Yeah, one of the top things he does, and he says it too. If your system isn't quarterback friendly, you need a new system.
Yeah,
and that's his first thing. That's why he can have different types of QBs, whether it's a Kyler Murray, or Jalen Hurts, or a Baker Mayfield, or now a Caleb Williams. All those quarterbacks, they're very different. In their approaches. And honestly, the only one that hasn't really worked out for him was Spencer Rattler, one of the guys he kind of handpicked. But I think that's number one. It's an extremely friendly quarterback system, very compatible with the skill set of his QBs. And honestly, he's one of the air raid he's one of the air raid coaches from that air raid coaching tree that actually believes in running the football. Just because you are an air raid coach does not mean you abandon the run. Now, we know with Mike Leach, that was different, but he's a different He's one of the original air raid mind, and he was a little extreme in his air raid beliefs. I mean, he never called. This is from his lips. Mike Lee said he never called the run play. He would only call pass plays. And then he would dog cuss and yell at quarterbacks who would come back to the sideline and wouldn't check to a run play. And what he would basically empower his quarterback to do is, if you see the defense and you have the numbers advantage, check to a run play and get us in the right play. That's your job as a quarterback. Yeah. So he was an extremist. But the thing about Lincoln Riley is you have all of the advantages of that air raid passing attack, right, which are able to, be able to create space where there is none. Create more space for defenders to have to defend, right? And it's always this old adage, or it's almost kind of a riddle, if you will. How do you defend more space with fewer defenders? And yes, kind of a trick question, but that's what Lincoln Riley's offense forces you to do. Defend more space with fewer defenders. And you're going to be outnumbered, or you're not going to have the numbers advantage, but you're also going to tackle those guys one-on-one in space. And he does a lot of that. So basically, with wide alignments, because Garrett Riley's big on this too, with wide alignments, a lot of freaky passing sets like formations, he will force you to play with a light box. Or he'll force you, if you don't want to play the light box and you want to load the box, then he'll force you to play with light numbers on the outside, defending more space with fewer defenders. So you're going to have to make that choice with Lincoln Riley. And that really is a choice that ends up being ends up being kind of the death blow to a lot of defenses. They make the wrong choice.